It's time for Ohio State basketball. The Buckeyes are preparing for battle, and you're preparing to listen to them. Equally important, this is Fan Warmup.
A little Tuesday matinee special for the Buckeyes, hosting Grambling this afternoon over at the Shot. What a weird time for a college basketball game, right? I mean, usually you get the Sunday matinees, you get the Saturday afternoons, you get the Saturday evenings. Obviously, like during a weekday, you think that you're going to get 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock slot. Not tonight. Not today. We got Christmas week, obviously. Happy holidays to everybody out there that is listening. But yeah, 2 o'clock, Ohio State's going to get ready to take on Grambling. Listen, it was a heartbreaker on this past weekend on Saturday against North Carolina, right? Down 11, Reimer, in the second half.
Yep.
Down 11 in the second half. You just took it brick by brick, possession by possession. Stops and scores. One thing led to another, and you actually found yourself with a lead in the final couple of minutes against North Carolina. Unfortunately, could not hold on to it. 71-70 was the final score in that one. And here was Jake Diebler from his radio show yesterday talking about not taking that, holding North Carolina to a 1-point loss as a moral victory.
There isn't really silver lining. It's evaluating what you did right, evaluating what you didn't do right, and then, being certainly disappointed and frustrated and angry that we lost. But in basketball, you got to move on really quickly. And so, Sunday was a new day, and we had to turn the page because we're playing a good Grambling team who's got a ton of momentum right now.
Listen, you had 3 losses on the season, a 1-point buzzer beater, crazy loss at the very end at Pittsburgh a little bit earlier on in the season. Illinois just flat out beat you, came out. They were the stronger, better team that evening, and then a 1-point loss against North Carolina. 3 losses total, 10 points combined for the losses, and you felt good about having the lead in the final seconds in both those games against Pitt and North Carolina. I know you were, Reimer, as well. I know this is the last game for the Ohio State men's basketball team for a while. Their next game after this, you really kick into non-conference play. You are at the rack to take on Rutgers. January is tough. Yeah. You play at home against Nebraska. You have that big West Coast trip between Oregon and Washington, and then you're back home against UCLA, Minnesota, and then you're on the road at Michigan before you wrap up the month of January between Penn State and Wisconsin. So I know what Jake Diebler was talking about. There's no moral victories. You got to get a win today. It is an absolute must that you treat Grambling like they are, and it's a bye game, and you get everybody over at the Shot who came out and supported your team today. Get them out happy, because I know you can be lackadaisical. It's Christmas week. People got family coming in. It's kind of crazy time of the year.
Well, and it's how are you going to respond after a heartbreaker like that,
Yep.
where you built up this energy to come back and take a lead, and then you ultimately end up losing that game. How are you going to respond to that? You should want to have some fire in you to come out and play well in this game and have a bounce back going into Christmas and into conference play.
Absolutely. What was going on in the last possession, that key turnover that gave Carolina an extra possession and sealed the victory for them?
This is the challenging part. We work on that stuff all the time, and there's a lot of moving parts. Certainly, players on the floor can call timeout. I'm trying to call timeout, and it just, we didn't execute the back end we executed the start of the possession great, exactly like we wanted to do. We didn't execute the back end of the possession like we wanted to, and it cost us.
I would assume that he's talking about the Colin White turnover
Yep.
there. Ball didn't get across the timeline. It was a little bit weak, but to Coach Diebler's point, I think it was a pretty good possession. It was good inbound. You got movement, and you had the guy. You had the streaker, right? You had him. It just unfortunately wasn't a great pass. And listen, it's a top 15 team in North Carolina, and you have to quickly move on from it, and they're very, very good. That's a good basketball team that knew exactly what to do in that situation to be able to press you and get that turnover, and they did.
Well, and I think one thing that we talked about that can be a great opportunity for this game is the bench production. You had no points off the bench, and I mean that can come into that down the stretch of a game where your guys might be feeling it a little bit, and that could have led into that weak pass into a turnover. And so this is a great opportunity for the guys on the bench today to have a great game and find a rhythm going into conference play. And I also, because in that game we saw when things started to flip was when Tilly and Nagovin were on the floor together, and there was the flagrant foul that the double team from them on Henry Vasar caused, and that's when things started to flip. I would like to see a little bit more of that today.
Yeah, they got unique with their lineups, didn't they?
Yeah.
Towards the end, and I know it was probably because of the size that North Carolina had, so it was kind of.
You're going to see that in the Big Ten.
It was kind of necessity, but I'm with you, Reimer. It was an interesting lineups that they kind of deployed late against Carolina. We'll see if we see it any bit today. Let's head out to the shot and check in with our great friend Ron Stokes.
It's time to go inside the Buckeyes with OSU basketball analyst and former captain Ron Stokes.
Ron, a very merry early Christmas to you and yours. A little lovely matinee over at the shot. What's going on, Ron? Good to talk to you.
Hey, it's time for a bounce back. As Coach Diebler mentioned, you have to have a short memory, especially when you have a game this quickly after coming back from Atlanta. But chance to get better and then get prepared for a rugged Big Ten schedule.
Absolutely. It's going to be tough. And Jacob Reimer and I were just talking about, kind of looking forward. And after today, you've got a little bit of a rest. You're not at Rutgers until the 2nd of January. But what were your biggest takeaways from that game against Carolina, Ron? And you've been in these situations that you have to bounce back quickly, and you bring in a pretty good Grambling team.
Well, it's still early. The things that I do like, this team as compared to last year's team, they're battling back. They're figuring out ways to get themselves into the game, despite being down. And I'm telling you right now, it would have been a phenomenal win for a number of reasons because you're playing North Carolina, top 15 team. But I think with Seth Trimble back in that lineup, that team is going to be really good as the season progresses. So that could have been a really, really good win. But I do like the fact that Christoph Tilly, back-to-back double figures in rebounding. He's showing some toughness there. He's sooner or later he's going to figure out how to knock down that three-point shot. It's definitely going to help the team. But I really thought there was some good things. You always like to say to yourself, like, if despite not playing your best, you still got a chance to win the ball game, and they did that away from Columbus. So I thought there were some really good things, but they still got to figure out a way to just win these close games.
What did you make of on the floor? Because I did think we saw some not unusual packages, but stuff that we haven't seen so far this season. When Christoph Tilly and Ivan Yagovin were on the floor together, Ron, I thought they had pretty good chemistry.
Yeah, I thought they worked well together, and I think part of that is the fact that Christoph Tilly isn't your typical big. He can pass it, and he plays like a guard at times with his offensive ability. So you can bring in a couple of 7-footers in at that time. And I like that lineup, and I'm sure Coach Diebler will deploy it when necessary. You guys mentioned when you look at the height that North Carolina had, I thought that matchup was fitting for that. But, this lineup change, you bring in Amari Bynum into the starting lineup. You guys also mentioned about the bench discrepancy, 15-0 with North Carolina with the 15, Ohio State with the 0. Now that Amari Bynum's in the starting lineup, where will the bench production come from? So that is going to be a big-time factor as the season progresses.
Ron, before we get you out of here, what are you most interested to see today before they get this game in right before Christmas and then get to relax for a little bit of time?
I want to see some guys get some confidence. I mentioned Christoph Tilly making some threes. Last couple games, Bruce Thornton, 1 of 11 from long range. I like to see those guys get out there and knock down some threes as they head into the new year.
Ron, always appreciate the time. Thanks for hopping on with us. Have a great call today. Merry Christmas, buddy, and we will check in after the New Year's, all right?
All right. Merry Christmas to you both. Take care.
There he goes. Ron Stokes with us. Him and Big Daddy Paul Keel's going to be calling the game from the shot coming up here at 1:15. Before we get out of here today, what about the option at the very end of the game? The game-winning possible shot. Who were all options on that possession for Ohio State to beat the North Carolina Tar Heels?
That was the design of the action. It's an action we've worked on really all fall. And like I said, I think it progressed. Junie had a good look. Again, maybe could have taken a dribble. Tilly could have turned and attacked because we had space. But we got the pieces moved in the right way.
Said John Mobley Jr., Christoph Tilly, and Bruce Thornton were all options. I don't know. I know that I'm not a college basketball coach, okay? I'm not. Bruce Thornton's got to have the ball in his hands at the end of the game. Like, he brought that team back. You were doing all kinds of crazy good stuff. John Mobley Jr. knocks down a 4-point play to kind of raise you back from the dead.
Maybe that's why you went there, because he just hit the one before. Maybe he's still got something in him.
I mean, revisionist history, right?
Yeah.
Revisionist history. I get it. But even on the inbounds, Reimer, when you and I were watching it on Saturday, look, Bruce has got to be touching the ball.
Seth Trimble stuck to him like glue once he passed it in. He wasn't getting that back.
Got to win this game today. Grambling comes in 5-6. Get in, get out, reset yourself, relax for the holidays, and then come back and get ready for the Big Ten. I think that's the goal for the Buckeyes today. Everybody have an awesome Tuesday. Enjoy the matinee. We will talk to you post-game. Paul and Ron up from the shot next.
You've been listening to Fan Warmup. Stay tuned for Buckeye basketball on your flagship home for Ohio State athletics. The Fan,